Netflix streams docuseries on near-death experiences. Can lucid dreams cure psychosis? Near-death experiences through the eyes of medical staff, and other news. Welcome to Face Today. This is the first news media about lucid dreams, sleep paralysis, and other phase states. Are you ready? Netflix streams docuseries on near-death experiences. In January 2021, the documentary series Surviving Death, about life after death, became available for streaming on Netflix. Author and director of the show, Ricky Stern, explores the themes of reincarnation, mediums, and near-death experiences. The first episode of the show is entirely devoted to the near-death experiences of people who survived clinical death. All the stories have one thing in common. The participants who were on the verge of death clearly remember their out-of-body experience. Some of the participants tell incredible details about what happened to them while their physical body was lifeless and their brain was shut down. Thus, Pam Reynolds, for example, was able to describe the surgical instruments that she saw on the operating table while she was hovering outside her body. Another protagonist heard the words the doctor spoke at the time of her death. How can people be conscious when they are unconscious? I mean, is it possible that there is an expansion of consciousness when we die? Comments Peter Fenwick, a neuropsychiatrist at the University of Cambridge. In addition to the participants' real stories, the series takes the viewer into the laboratories of scientists studying consciousness and the phenomenon of near-death experiences. Let us know in the comments when you watch the series. Is sleep paralysis more common in students? According to research, approximately 28% of college students experience sleep paralysis. This is significantly higher than the prevalence of sleep paralysis in the general population. Grant Benham of the University of Texas Rio Grande Valley has published a new study on the topic exploring the reasons for this high incidence. The survey involved 1,115 students at a major university in the southwestern United States, most of them women. The results showed that 35% of the participants had experienced sleep paralysis in the past. At the same time, the survey assessed their stress and sleep quality indicators. Those who experienced sleep paralysis at least once reported higher stress levels and sleep disorders. This is not surprising, since stress is one of the causes of sleep paralysis. Students often find it difficult to find time to relax due to their busy schedules. Sleep deprivation, insomnia, sleep disorders, as well as anxiety and depression experienced by students contribute to the high prevalence of sleep paralysis in this population. Have you experienced sleep paralysis as a student? Let us know. The study was published in the Journal of American College Health in August 2020. Spinning to stabilize lucid dreams. The spinning technique is often used by practitioners to stabilize phase states such as lucid dreams. As Steven LeBerg, one of the pioneers of the scientific study of lucid dreaming, wrote, rotation helps stabilize or prolong an experience if we notice it's starting to wind down. However, until now, there has been no verified data on the effect of this technique on perception vividness in lucid dreaming. Researchers from the Phase Research Center, Michael Raduga, Andrei Shashkov, and Zhanna Janasova decided to fill in this gap for practical purposes. Indeed, the success not only of practice but of most scientific research depends on perception vividness. The Project Elijah experiment involved 123 volunteers who made themselves rotate with the phase state and compare the realistic sensations before and after the experience. Only 46% of the participants reported that their perception became more vivid, although 14% reported it being more vivid than during wakefulness. The researchers concluded that low phase depth could be improved by spinning. However, compared to other techniques, this approach turned out to have relatively low efficacy. A few more years of similar research will hopefully produce an accurate rating of the effectiveness of phase deepening techniques. We are certainly looking forward to it. What is your method of going deeper into the phase? Share your experiences. The study was published in December 2020 in the Dreaming Journal. Can lucid dreams cure psychosis? Many scholars and writers have described the dream world as a form of psychosis. In a dream, we can see images that look like hallucinations, experience a weak connection with reality, and a lack of critical thinking. During REM sleep, the brain deactivates the parts of the prefrontal cortex that are responsible for decision-making and critical perception. The same patterns have been found in waking psychosis patients, according to Mirana Letitia Dabri from the Săcola Institute of Psychiatry in Romania. This means that REM sleep is nothing more than a form of psychosis. However, lucid dreams differ from ordinary dreams in that the sleeper can control their consciousness during the dream. This state therefore differs from psychosis, since perception of the surrounding reality and its assessment play an important role in lucid dreams. In this type of dream, the dreamer has the ability for self-reflection. They recognize hallucinations as something unreal and learn to control them. Based on these data, the researchers hypothesized that by controlling their consciousness in lucid dreams, patients can make significant progress in the treatment of psychotic states. Just like within lucid dreams, psychotics can be taught to recognize hallucinations as signs that indicate a state of unreality. Thus, this technique can be an indispensable tool in the treatment of psychotic disorders, helping to develop awareness and critical thinking. If the scientists' conclusions are correct, lucid dreaming practices should be more resistant to psychic anomalies. Would you agree with that? The article was published in Brain, Broad Research in Artificial Intelligence and Neuroscience in December 2020. Near-death experiences through the eyes of medical stuff. Patients who have undergone clinical death and out-of-body experiences are often afraid to share their stories with others. When discussing them with medical professionals or clergymen as well as loved ones, they encounter misunderstanding and rejection, finding themselves isolated and depressed. Members of the International Association of Near-Death Studies, IANDS, Lilia Samoilo and Diane Corcoran have been helping people overcome these negative experiences for nearly 40 years. In an article published in spring of 2020, scientists and activists talk about the gap in care for patients who come out of near-death experiences and the consequences of this attitude. In the article, the authors discussed 12 patient stories of near-death experiences. While caring for these patients in hospitals, they often encountered prejudiced attitude from healthcare providers. The authors pay special attention to children who have experienced clinical death. They usually encounter skepticism and are sometimes even punished for lying. For young patients, the impact of such experiences on later life is often more significant than for adults. For example, one of the people interviewed for the article, Bill McDonald, who had a similar experience as a child, says, "Medical personnel refused to listen to my NDE. I was forbidden to discuss it. Looking back, I have bitter memories of being ignored and treated as if I was mentally ill." According to the authors, medical school curricula should include information about near-death experiences to enable future medical staff to give people who have experienced clinical death adequate support. Do you think popularizing knowledge about phase states would solve this problem? The study was published in the spring 2020 issue of Narrative Inquiry and Bioethics. Do lucid dreams lead to personal growth? It is generally acknowledged that lucid dreaming facilitates personal growth, including the development of creativity, mindfulness, and self-esteem. However, is that really the case? The answer to this question can be found in an article by researchers Karen Concoli and Christopher Brook, published in the Dreaming Journal. According to the authors, in practice, these are still just popular hypotheses that have not been proven by real research. Moreover, in assessing these indicators, scientists often do not take into account other factors that contribute to personal growth when conducting experiments, such as keeping a dream journal and reality checking practices. To test this hypothesis, the authors conducted their own experiment. They divided 32 volunteers into 3 groups. The first group trained in lucid dreaming techniques, the second used only the dream journal and reality checking technique, and the third group did not use any techniques. After conducting a long-term assessment of the indicators of personal growth and psychological well-being among the participants, the authors found no significant differences in the indicators among the different groups. Nevertheless, lucid dreaming practitioners have higher self-esteem and life satisfaction the day after a successful practice. The study was published in 2019 in the Dreaming Journal. As you can see, our topic is actively developing. In order not to miss new discoveries, right now subscribe to our channel and follow us on social media, where we publish news daily. All links are in the description. See you next week.